transform your fears into stepping stones. That's what we're talking about today. That is really the crux of a lot of the issues that we all have. Back on day number 10, we talked about visualization. And today we're talking about how to use visualization to step out of our comfort zone. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, and I'm so excited that you're here with me on day number 49 in this amazing trek that we're on, my 100-day walk to consistency. I'm glad you're here. Each day we're adding another piece to the puzzle in setting ourselves up to be successful. Remember, consistency is your superpower, and we are adding another piece, another brick, another block to this process. Let's go ahead and let's get started. I'll see you on the walk. So visualization is what we're talking about today. And we're talking about how to use visualization as a tool to be able to help us to step outside of our comfort zone. If you remember when we had our discussion about visualization on day number 1, it really entailed creating essentially a virtual or conceptual space where we found ourselves, where we were encouraging our brains, our minds, to take hold of that and to essentially behave as though that was reality. As we've said before, our brain is so adept and it's so fascinating that it is able to take the things that we tell it and to create reality from it. And so our visualization really is intended to put us in a virtual space, if you will, that pulls us into success. Each day that we work, each piece of data that we use, what we're doing is we're building another block. We're building another piece of the puzzle to set ourselves up for success. And so that's what we discussed when we talked about visualization in the past. And today, what I want to do is I want to expand and go a little deeper and use visualization as a way of helping us move out of our comfort zone into those places where we can grow and where we can expand. Because in order for growth to happen, we have to have expansion. Let me say that again. If we're going to get to a better place, if we're going to move to a space where we are growing, then we have to move beyond the current borders, the current boundaries that we've set ourselves in. And many times, the reason that we don't move beyond those areas, many times the reason that we can't go beyond where we are is because of fear. And so visualization is a wonderful way to help us overcome those fears and to be successful. So it involves imagining yourself in scenarios that typically trigger some fear, trigger some apprehension, and being able to successfully navigate that space so that not that we are no longer afraid, but we are able, as we mentioned before, to be courageous and to be strong in the middle of fear. Okay? So it's not the absence of fear, but be strong in the middle of fear. And we are creating that space for ourselves. And visualization is an amazing tool to be able to do that. And so that's what we're delving in to today. Now, one of the things, and I've always got some stories. When I was studying for my boards and was having trouble, I think I mentioned that there was this crazy guy that said to me, "Hey, you're already a doctor. All we've got to do is get the degree." And from the time that he said those words to me, every time he saw me, he never again called me Dr. Woode. I'm sorry, he never again called me Dwain. He only called me Dr. Woode. And so he was speaking into existence what he imagined. And I caught the vision. And I'll tell you, there are many times when I may have wanted to give up, may have wanted to stop. But because he had created this idea, this virtual environment, he had created this place for me where I was a doctor, I saw that. And so, looking back, one of the things that helped to push me through was the fact that I had created for myself this space. Now, there are a lot of things that I had to do, a lot of things I had to go through that were uncomfortable. And part of the reason that I was able to successfully make it through some of that was because I envisioned what it would be like moving through those obstacles, moving past those obstacles, moving into the place where success was happening. And so visualization, not only is it great for helping us to visualize successes, not only is it great for helping us see where we are going to be when we're done, but it also is a great place to help us to visualize ourselves in uncomfortable situations and see ourselves being successful in those situations. Okay? So visualization, using it to help us expand ourselves and move beyond our comfort zones. So the importance of stepping out of comfort zone cannot be understated. We did our show, I'm thinking back now which episode that was, but several episodes ago, and we talked about going outside of your comfort zone. And you will find that if you are going to be successful, you are essentially, I think of it kind of like a top. Have you ever played with a top? Maybe I'm dating myself. Do they play with those things anymore? But basically you have this top and you pull the string and you hit it and it's on the ground. And what we used to do is we would put it like in a box or a little area that was confined. And so what would happen is that top would hit it against the wall and hit against the wall and bounce back and hit against the wall and bounce back. And what it was essentially doing was it was testing the boundaries of that area. And if there was a part of that box, a part of that confined area that has a hole, that had an opening, then that top made it out of that opening. And so part of our stepping outside of our comfort zone involves us going through those exercises where we're trying different things, where we are essentially finding places where we can succeed. That's kind of my goal. That's how I function, because I want to be successful. I don't want to stay where I am. And I'm always looking for a place to grow. And so stepping outside of our comfort zone is important, because every time you bounce into that wall, into that confinement, that's a pain point. Right? Because that's not always easy. It doesn't always feel good, because you're bumping up against a barrier. You're bumping up against some confinement. You're bumping against someone saying no, someone saying you can't do that, someone saying you can't improve, right? That whole mindset, growth mindset or fixed mindset. So it's not always comfortable, but in order to grow, then we've got to step outside of our comfort zone. It's essential for personal development. It introduces us to new concepts and new experiences. With growth, as we are growing, one of the most essential things that we can do as parents and as teachers, as leaders, is to help those around us experience new things. So when we travel, well, first because we want to see the big things, but we also want to have our family, my son, experience things that he would not normally have seen, okay? Because part of education has to do with experience. often we don't do things, we don't get into things, we don't see things because we are not exposed. We're not able to succeed because we're not exposed to those things. And so it introduces us, when we step out, it introduces us to new experiences. Visualization is a amazing tool to be able to do that, to be able to help us move into the space. And so by visualizing challenging things, you mentally rehearse what it's like to be in that space, and you're able to feel some of the feelings, you're able to sense some of the places where you'll have struggles. I'm coming up on the road here, so I think I'm gonna move back, walk back. Right? So you get to rehearse seeing, feeling, and overcoming those things that may otherwise cause you to turn back and cause you not to succeed. And so when you begin visualizing, and we'll talk more about what is entailed with that, you begin feeling, you begin experiencing some of those same thoughts and feelings. So when you visualize, it reduces the intensity of the fear because you've been there before. Remember, when we're visualizing, we are creating a virtual environment. We're creating a conceptual environment. We're creating an environment where we're trying to build into that environment all of the feelings, all of the thoughts, all of the ideas, all of the things that you would normally say, oh, this is what this experience is like. And so we are trying to create that so that we now understand and we now feel what that's like. And our brain says, oh, okay, this is not that bad. Or even if it is that bad, at least I have been here before and I know how I can function, what I can do. And it makes the experience more manageable. So when you are visualizing, you are creating that experience and it's more manageable, because often it is the uncertainty that causes us trouble, right? So think about anxiety. Remember, anxiety comes from the future. Anxiety comes from what's going to happen that we feel like we don't have control of, or we feel that we don't know, we don't understand, that we're not capable of handling. That's where anxiety comes from. And so if I can go through that experience, that's why, as I talk about the idea of improving, about growing, one of the places that I see people stepping up and being fearless or being brave, courageous, is in the military. Because what has happened is we've taken someone whose tendency may have been to run in the other direction, and we've helped them confront fears so that they now go towards danger in order to protect, right? That doesn't happen overnight, and that takes continual practice and rehearsal. And so our visualization gives us a tool so that we can practice, so we can rehearse in that space. Okay, so that's the importance of visualization in helping us to step out of our comfort zone. So the benefits of visualization in terms of consistency and in terms of challenges in that comfort zone is, number one, it reduces the anxiety. Like I just said, looking into the future or looking into the unknown, even having the ability to begin looking at some of the feelings that you may have, begin visualizing what other people will be doing around you, visualizing your ability to move past the discomfort and to be successful, that helps to reduce the anxiety. It increases your preparedness, right? So when we are training, for instance, I'm about to take some of our kids from church camping, and we go through simulations. Okay, we put the tents up, we break the tents down. We put them up, we break them down. When we're talking about security, right? When we go with our kids, we rehearse at your home. One of the things that we teach is do a fire drill. How do you get out of the house? Why are we doing those things? We're doing those things so that when the situation arises, it is not new. It is familiar, and we fall into that muscle memory where our bodies and our minds know exactly what to do. Okay? Regular practice makes the imagined scenario familiar, and familiarity brings comfort. Comfort decreases anxiety. Decreased anxiety allows our brains to fire. Those neurons are connecting, and it allows us to bring our complete selves into that experience. If we're anxious, we're guarded. We are so intent on protection and not seeing, or not being seen as incompetent, not being seen as not capable, that some of that energy goes to do other things. Okay, but when we're dealing with the anxiety, we don't have to put the energy into that space. Okay, so visualization also causes us to feel less threatened, right? Because those people that are around us, we don't have to feel threatened by them. We can be relaxed, and as I mentioned before in one of our conversations, when you are relaxed and when you are secure in who you are, when you are self-confident, then you can give grace and you can find solutions to relational issues that other people may not be able to find because they are uptight. It enhances your efficiency and efficacy. Going back to the point I just made, right? Could you imagine what it's like to have your neurons all firing in the direction of just being and just experiencing, rather than having some over here protecting you from the anxiety, unsure of what you're going to say, unsure of what you're going to do, because this is a new situation. It allows you to be more efficacious, right? And it allows you to be much more successful. So visualization, an amazing way of doing that. It strengthens your mind. It helps you to be successful. And it helps you to enhance your belief in yourself. Because once again, the familiarity brings an idea of, I can do this. I've been in the space. I've thought about the different ways that this can go down. Okay, which is why when we are working in terms of being prepared for things, what we're doing is we're filibustering, and we're trying to figure out, well, what if this happens? How do we respond? What if that happens? How do we respond? How does this happen? How do we respond? And that's part of visualization. So how do you practice active visualization? How do you practice active visualization? Number one, you want to start by identifying a scenario that makes you a bit uncomfortable. Right? Something that may intimidate you a bit. Now, we're not talking about necessarily your deepest fear, although, hey, why not? We're talking about, we're starting small. And I know we all use the idea of public speaking, because that's a common one, right? So public speaking. If you're afraid of public speaking, right, say that's the thing that we've identified. And of course, we've grabbed our journal and we've got that all, right? So we're documenting all of this. And then you want to construct a detailed mental narrative of what that looks like. So, and this is very important. The more detail that you put, the better your brain is able to grasp it. the more sights and sounds and feels and smells and more emotion that you attach to it, the more the brain is able to latch onto it and to provide a very unique and beneficial experience. So you find the scenario and begin constructing it. So I'm imagining myself standing at the podium. Or actually even before that, I'm imagining myself preparing for the speech. I'm imagining myself, whatever the concept is going to be that I'm teaching. I'm imagining myself writing out my speech, because I write my speech out. I imagine myself rehearsing. Now imagine myself getting closer to the day, and I've put on my clothes, and I'm going up to stand at the podium, and I hear the person announcing me, and hear what they're saying, and listen to their words, and hear the response from the audience. And now I'm standing up, and I'm feeling. And we got some leaf blowers over here, so let's go ahead and move past them. And I got a plane going overhead. Okay, all at one time. All right, let's see if we can get by here. Okay, so
time 23 minutes 4 seconds.
That all feels like
1.0 miles.
And maybe I'm anxious.
23.
Maybe I'm sweaty.
4 seconds.
Maybe my heart's racing.
23 minutes. 4 seconds.
Maybe I'm feeling a little doubt. And I am seeing myself, I'm visualizing myself in that space. And I notice, hey, I have those feelings. My heart is racing. I am sweaty, but I'm still here. I haven't died. Nobody's laughing. I am prepared, right? Notice what I'm doing is I am becoming comfortable in that space, okay? And I'm going through the process of creating that scenario in my mind, in my head, so that my brain can latch onto that and begin providing benefit to me, okay? So we're gonna construct a detailed mental narrative where I'm facing that challenge. And then I'm gonna include specifics, right? So where am I? What speech am I giving? What's the venue? How many people are there? What time of the day it is? What day is it? What time of the month is it? Right? What does the venue feel like? Is it hot? Is it cold? Are there lights? Is it bright? Is it darker? Is it a more intimate setting? Is it an auditorium with classroom style chairs? Is it a theater, right? Where people are put up in the balcony? Who's standing next to me? Who am I with? Did my wife go? Did my son go? My brother, my sister? Right? What is the occasion? I'm presenting a talk on limitless living. I'm presenting a talk on consistency. I'm presenting a talk on visualization. What am I doing? What are the things that I'm doing? And begin putting tangible pieces to this visualization. Okay? So who's there? Why is it important? How am I going to succeed? What does it feel like when I succeed? What does it feel like when I am done and I've given this speech? I've given this talk. I'm answering questions now. What are some of the questions that people are going to have? How do I answer those questions? Right? And I'm thinking through this. What does the auditorium smell like? Right? So as much detail as I can give. And even I'm afraid. I feel fear. I feel anxiety. I feel distress. I feel uncertainty. All of those feelings that you imagine that can come up, when you add them to the scenario, when you add them to the visualization, they add a place for your brain to latch on and to give you a more immersive experience. Okay? So don't imagine that this is like perfect, right? Because your brain's gonna be like, oh, wait a minute, that's not what it's gonna be like, right? So put those feelings in there. They are real. They are valid. You don't have to ignore them. You don't have to pretend that they're not there. Begin working and moving in that space so that it becomes a very real scenario. And then engage with it emotionally. Engage your emotions, right? Feel the fear, acknowledge the fear, and then see yourself moving past it. Remember, we're not talking about being absent fear. All right, so remember, we're not talking about being absent fear. We're talking about being in a place where we can function, where we can work, where we can succeed despite there being fear. All right, so the fear doesn't go away, the situation doesn't change, but even though there is fear there, I can still be successful. I can still do the things I need to do to be consistent and to be courageous. All right, so put those things in there. And then when you're ending the visualization, right, end it positively. End it with you being successful. End it with you giving that speech. End it with people standing and giving an ovation. People asking you to come back. People asking questions. End it positively, right? Because we can always create a negative scenario. Remember that inner critic? Oh yeah, it's there. And it's always wanting to give you something negative. But we're going to do this visualization and we're going to deliberately end it with a positive spin. With the feeling that we've overcome and we've visualized our success. That is what we want to do. So let's walk through a quick scenario. And this we're going to do a scenario before we run to our challenge. So I want you to find a space and I want you to sit or stand, either, a place that is positive for you, a place where it's comfortable, not a place where there's negative energy, right? So you want to find a place that's your place of comfort. And you want to begin thinking about yourself in a positive light. You want to begin thinking of yourself in a place of success. You want to see yourself being successful. You want to imagine what it feels like as your breath is going in and out. You're taking one breath in, you're holding it, and you're breathing through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And slowly, you're listening to your heart. And you're beginning to feel some tension in your ears. And you pay attention to that, you work it out. You wiggle it. You close your eyes and imagine that a pulse of calmness is starting from the top of your head, where it's feeling tense and hot and stretched to just relaxed. Down to your ears, your cheeks, your eyes are just, you hear the breeze that's blowing even here right now as we're talking. And you're moving down to your neck and your shoulders, and you're seeing that space. You're feeling the joy that comes from just right now being peaceful. There it is, in and out. And your heartbeat is calming. You're feeling that. And the breath is coming even now more calmly. And you're imagining a space that is your favorite space. Maybe it's a beach. Maybe it's a scenario. It's a place that you've been before. A place that brings you comfort, brings you joy. A place where you can remember what it felt like to be at peace, to be calm. And you're just spending some time there right now. You're visualizing happiness, and the sun may be shining. Maybe the birds are singing. Maybe there's some music. Your favorite piece of music is playing in the background, and you're still hearing the rustle of the leaves. The wind is blowing calmly. Ah, that feels good. And you're relaxing right now. And the tension has moved from your head down to the soles of your feet, and it's now moved into the floor. And you begin hearing sounds around you. Maybe there's a hum of a computer, a hum of a clock, hum of even maybe you hear your heartbeat. Maybe there's some conversation going on outside the door, right beyond where you are. You hear the cars that are driving around me, the leaves that are rustling, the breeze that's blowing across the mic here as I'm talking, the sound of my voice. All of that shows your connection to the environment with you. It shows your connection to the things around you. And none of that is bringing pain. None of that is bringing you to a place of distrust or self-doubt. It's all saying to you that you are alive. And as long as you're alive, there's hope for consistency, for strength, for self-confidence. And you begin seeing yourself successful in your endeavors, the things that you want to do, in your health, in your finances, in your relationship. What does that feel like? What does it feel like to be in that space? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? Yeah. And you now are listening to your heart again, and you're breathing in and out, in and out. And you begin now to open your eyes slightly, slowly, and it's out of focus. It's still dim because it's just a little slit. You've just opened your eyes just ever so slightly. And you're thinking about the joy that you felt in that space. And you're opening your eyes a little bit more. Still kind of dull, still kind of dim, still kind of blurry. But you're bringing with you the feeling that you had when you were in that space. And you open your eyes just a little bit more and a little bit more. And that feeling is coming. Your heart is still beating. Your breath is still in and out, slowly. And now you've opened your eyes fully, and the world is in focus, and the world is brighter because you've brought with you that space that you had. The power of visualization is amazing. The power of visualization is that you get to create for yourself a space where you can be successful. It allows us to visualize our success, and it also allows us to visualize us moving from beyond where we are to places that are uncomfortable and still being successful. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let that be the challenge for today. That visualization that we just did. I want you to go back, I want you to play that, and I want you to practice it over and over and over until it becomes second nature. You can add data to it, you can add feelings, you can add sounds, you can add pictures to it, you can add color to it. That's our visualization. That's our challenge for today. I'm so excited that you joined me today. I always say it, but this is one of my favorite conversations, I know. Every day that we come, every day you show up, you're adding another piece to the puzzle, another tool, another way of being consistent, and another way of being successful. I'm glad that you joined me for my 100-day walk to consistency. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. Remember, make sure you're doing the challenges, make sure you're doing the workbook, and we'll see you tomorrow on day number 50. Have a good one. We'll see you on the walk.